What is going on, y'all? Today's finally the day. Got the 4Runner in the garage. Y'all saw in the last video I got all the parts ready to go. So we got all the things that we need to do this brake upgrade. I'm super excited, I know y'all are too. So I'm gonna try to do this the best that I can, try to show y'all as much as I can, so that way you guys can replicate this as much as possible. There's gonna be 3 different options that you can take when it comes to these first gen 4Runners, but this is gonna work for any Toyota straight axle that you got. I'm gonna write down on a piece of paper everything and show y'all, so that way you can take a look at it and find these parts yourself. I tried to find all of the vehicles that are just most common and simple to do this, so that way there's no complications and it's something that you could easily do yourself. So I might miss a few things, I might add into the comments or description if there's vehicles that y'all think that I'm missing that would be better off than what I wrote down, but everything here should be the simplest, best way to do this. All right, y'all, so here it is. This is gonna be the 3 different options that you might be taking, okay? Sorry, my handwriting isn't fantastic, but up here you're gonna see you got a 79 through 85 solid axle. This is if you just have a regular solid axle, okay? You're gonna run and grab 2nd gen 4Runner or T100, calipers, booster, and master. Then you're gonna have to run Land Cruiser rotors. If you have an IFS suspension, non-straight axle, just IFS suspension, you can use anything off of a 2nd gen. 2nd gen 4Runner, T100, you can use the calipers, booster, master, and the rotors. You can use it all for the IFS. If you're running it with a solid axle with IFS hubs, you're gonna be running this very first setup. Okay, same exact setup. If you're running with the IFS hubs, it doesn't matter. You're gonna be running this first setup. So if you have a solid axle with IFS hubs, you're gonna be running that first setup. Or if you want, you can run the 2nd gen 4Runner or T100 calipers booster master with 1st gen Tacoma rotors. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Make sure that y'all get the calipers S13WB. Those are the larger calipers. It's just gonna make this much simpler and it's gonna be the best upgrade that you can get. There's no point in confusing yourself or getting the smaller calipers and trying to do it any different. If you got any 3 of these setups, everything's gonna work for you. So I'm starting over here with my calipers. Like I said, I'm doing option number 3. So these are off of a T100 or a 2nd gen 4Runner. So I know in the last video, I kind of made it sound like these were brand new. These are definitely reman, not brand new. So excuse me for that. I'm gonna paint them up, try to make them a little bit cleaner before I throw them on. I've already been degreasing them a little bit and we'll be ready to go. So I said this in a previous video, but this is an 89 1st gen 4Runner, but it has an 85 Toyota solid axle in it. And it has the IFS hubs put back on to the 85 solid axle. So as you can see, there's the IFS hub. You can tell the difference between this gap right here is only about 1.5 inches, and then there's no gap on the inside versus a regular early 80s solid axle with regular hubs. You would have a larger gap right here on this flat piece of metal. So there would be a much bigger gap right here. And that's how it comes into difference with what brakes you run, like I showed previously. But while I'm under here, I'm gonna chop all these U-bolts down, make them proper height. I've said this in a previous video, but all the bracketry is still on here from the original Toyota or pickup axle. So I'm gonna chop all that stuff off. I also got the space heater going. Literally still have snow melting off the front of this thing. We're like down in the teens right now. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can to keep this thing warm while working under here. So that way paint and stuff will actually stick. So we will see. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is take this outer cap off, and then we're gonna take the whole locking hub assembly apart. Take this 12mm off in the middle. And we're gonna take these 12 mils off all the way on the outside, take it apart. So when you slip this off, don't forget about these guys. Might take a little bit of prying and then pop these guys off, and then it'll come right out. Then you're gonna have this 54mm bolt or nut you're gonna take off. I just used this, found it at Northern Tool, 54mm. Doesn't work super good. Try to find the correct Toyota tool, makes it much easier. Then you're gonna take your grooved castle looking nut off. And then you're gonna take your hold down nut off. All right, so here we are. We're gonna take these bolts off the back, take our rotor off. You don't need that no more. Clean this up a little bit. So here's a pretty good view of the size difference. You can see these guys are way larger. And just the pistons inside. You can see you have a large piston on the left and a small one on the right, versus this one has 4 large pistons. So it's gonna help quite a bit. Okay, so next what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to grind down the hub, so that way it'll clearance for this rotor. So it should be able to slip smoothly right over it. As you can see, we're catching. So basically, what you're gonna do, if you look at the hub, you can see that little lip. We're pretty much just gonna take off most of that little lip right there, and that'll help give us enough room. A lot of people, what they'll basically do is they'll just put it in 4-wheel drive and turn it on, let it start spinning, and then they'll just run it down with the grinder. The best way to go about this is to take it to a machine shop, but I don't have a couple $100 to do that, so this isn't gonna be a big deal. Yeah, it could be, you know, a little bit out of balance, but it's so close to the center base here, you're not gonna feel that or notice that. It's not gonna be a big deal. So we're just gonna sit here and spin it and grind it down a little bit as we go. All right, so now we're taking out the booster and master. So you're gonna have to come up under here to the pedal. You're gonna pop out this little guy. There's a little clip on there, slides out of the pedal. That frees up your pedal for you. Then you're gonna have your 4 bolts on the master and the booster. All right, so if you use a little swivel socket, you can get up under there pretty easily. It's not too bad. Here we are with the new one. Alright, we're going to gonna cut these wires. This is for the old master cylinder. And then we're gonna have this. Looks like the previous owner already spliced in this different harness. So normally you'd have this green and white wire and then the white and red. You're gonna put the green wire over here with the blue wire and the white one with the white one. Pretty simple. For me, I already have the blue and the white, so it's gonna be the same thing. Come back over here to the new style, plug her in there, and be away we go. All right, we got her in here. We're gonna do a quick bench bleed on her. Right now she's just trying to drain in. I'm gonna hold my thumbs up over this on both sides and have him pump it up. And then I'm gonna feel until I get some pressure, then I'll release it. And then I'll do it a couple more times just to kind of get some fluid through it. It's already a used master. All right, so depending on what model master cylinder you end up going with, you're probably gonna have to bend this line, the factory one, just make a little 90 with it very gently. And then that way you can line up right here and you'll be good to go. All right, y'all. So the booster and master is all installed. We got this side all tore apart. This side, we got quite a bit of grinding done on it. Took way more grinding wheels than I was thinking. We went through about 3 just on this side and it's still not quite done yet. I only have one left, so there's no way we're gonna finish that other side tonight. Here you can see, she's all smoothed down. Here's a little reference on the back side to kind of show you how much you need to grind down. It's right at about like 1/8 of an inch from the studs. And here's our Tacoma Rotors. Should slip right on. There we go. Be so much better. Also, this stock vacuum hose isn't really gonna reach. So go ahead and pick up a new one tomorrow also, and then we should be home free. I'm gonna run down to the store tomorrow. I'm gonna pick up a couple more grinding wheels so we can get her done. If you got the money, I definitely recommend just taking it down to the machine shop and having them do it for you. It's a little bit of work, but it's really not that bad. It's just took a couple extra grinding wheels than I was expecting, so we'll get her done. Alrighty guys, I'm back. It's the next day. I made a little parts run this morning. I went and picked up a little surprise. I'm super fired up about it. I think y'all are gonna dig it too. It's really gonna complete the look on this truck that I'm kind of going for. So I'm super excited about that. I went and picked up a few more grinding discs. It took good like 3 discs to get this side ground down. It's a little more material than I thought, but that's all right. It's still nothing like too hard. It probably took about 30 minutes of grinding. And I mean, if I really worked it, I'd probably get done in about 10, 15 minutes. So it's nothing too terrible, but y'all could definitely do it. And over here, we got a little surprise. Now I hope y'all don't hate them because they're 20-inch wheels. But I think y'all are gonna dig it, all right? Psych! Got ourselves some 17s. These suckers are gonna look super sweet. FJ Toyota wheels. Heck yeah, I'm so excited. Also in the background, got ourselves some new 35s. This thing's gonna be sweet. Got a super good deal on these things. They're just a little bit dusty, but I'm actually gonna paint these things gunmetal gray. That way they match our bumpers. So I think these are gonna look really, really clean. And I'm gonna have to run down probably in a day or so and get these things mounted up. That way we can throw them on. But I think these are gonna look sweet. That are wondering, this is matte hammered paint. It's black from Rust-Oleum. Fantastic paint. I have it on my bumpers. I didn't even scuff up my bumpers or do anything. I straight up sprayed it on there and it's lasted pretty much a year. So this stuff's super good. Should last you really well. I love the sparkles in it, and it gives a pretty cool little look. Great for like anything that's gonna be on your truck that's gonna see the weather and whatnot. So it's made for like more exterior trim work for houses, but I like it. All right, so we got it ground down. I just switched it over to a flat disc so we can just shine it up a little bit, get it ready for paint. All right, now that we got that hub all ground down, we need to drill both of these holes to a 1/2 inch. All right, and then I'm gonna hit this with a wheel, clean it all up. Like I said, I'm gonna try to cut some of the stuff off, get it ready for paint. You also wanna drill out your calipers to a 1/2 inch as well. And you're gonna buy yourself a 1/2 inch bolt. And 3 washers is gonna help space it out as well. Chopped off this one bump stop. It was a little distressing. Good thing we chopped that off. Grind it down to make it look pretty. Oh, there's another piece down. Oh, that went right into my face. We're already starting to look like an axle again though. So that's pretty nice. A little bit more to get. Some grinding, some paint. Well, I had just started grinding and my grinder said that it did not want to grind anymore. Got ourselves a cool air blower now. Nice. Hold on, I might have found the problem. So these little screws that I kept finding that were just falling out of nowhere while I was grinding. Oh, let's put those back in there, see what happens. Yay, grinding noises. All right, we're looking much better. It's time to start reassembling. Let's start by putting the hub on and the wheel bearings. All right, so we got the hub on. Put the wheel bearing in first. I cleaned it up a little bit and put some more grease on there just to clean it up and put some fresh stuff on. Next we're gonna put this guy on. Gotta find that groove somewhere. There we go. Then we put our first bolt on. Excuse me, wheel bearing nut. All right, then our crush washer. Got a groove on it also. All right, and then our wheel bearing nut. All right, now we're gonna put our cover on. Oh, gotta remember our gasket. Put a 12mm and our little washer. Last we put our hub on. Cover. All right, and that's where the magic starts to happen. Let's throw that new rotor on. All right, so here's our 1/2 inch by 2 inch bolts. You're gonna run your washer, and you have a washer in the middle as a spacer. Then you're gonna put the caliper on, then your washer and your 2 bolts, or your 2 nuts, excuse me. There you go. Bolts are in, nuts are tight, brake lines are back connected. Make sure that you have your bleeder up on top. Don't want to get your calipers backwards. All right, we're ready to bleed the brakes. I got this little Harbor Freight vacuum bleeder just to make things a little bit easier. You just connect it up here. You got your air hose going to your air compressor. And then you just go ahead and pull the trigger and it'll start vacuum bleeding. All right guys, my brakes are all bled. I just want to show you guys. So you may have to run a spacer on certain wheels. As you can see, you stick out about 1/4 inch of the threads. This has nothing to do necessarily with the size of your wheel. A 15-inch wheel, this will work just fine. I have 15-inch wheels and I don't need a spacer. These are just a basic 15-inch. I think it's a 17-inch wide wheel. You can see the issue that you run into is on most steel wheels, this is only about 1/4 inch thick. So if you have an alloy aluminum style wheel, generally there's already about a 1-inch gap on the back of here. It's gonna give you that spacing that you need to keep you off the wheel. So it really doesn't matter about your offset or inset. What you're gonna have an issue is this gap right here. And here we are all mounted up. As you can see, I got just about 1/4 inch gap there of clearance. So I'll be good to go without a spacer. But some of y'all might need one. Also, some of y'all might need to run an extended brake line. I already have different brake lines just from previous brake jobs. But you can also get these rubber hoses from O'Reilly's. If you just search up our truck gear, any of the 1st gen 4Runners, it'll pull up this rubber brake line, which will work for you too. All right, we're all mounted back up. Once I get these wheels and tires mounted, then I'll be throwing them on. But it's 1 a.m. guys, so I'm gonna go in bed, go inside and go to bed. I am so tired. I'm gonna come back in the morning, double check all my work, make sure that everything's all tightened up, and then we'll take it for a test drive and see how we did. Probably gonna be a few mistakes, but we'll find out. Alrighty guys, it's the next morning. It's finally time to take this thing for a test drive. I have no idea how this is gonna run. I haven't messed with the proportioning valve. I haven't messed with the load level sensor or anything. Everything is completely stock other than the brakes. I bled everything, so we should be good to go. I double checked my work, so hopefully nothing flies off and goes crazy. I'm just gonna take a quick, short test drive, test everything out real quick, and then I'm gonna bring it back in and retorque everything again, because I wanna make sure everything's tight. Check engine light is off. We're gonna do our first test stop here. Get her up to 30 miles an hour. I'm gonna do no hands, slam on the brakes and see what happens. Also, I'd say that was a successful test run. I'm super happy with the results with it so far. The pedal still feels slightly off, but much better than it did before, so I think I'm gonna bleed them one more time. I honestly bled them pretty fast, so there's probably still a couple little air bubbles in there. Honestly, the pedal feels pretty good though. It's pretty close to like my wife's 4Runner 2016, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the stopping. I can stop, it stops perfectly in a straight line, way better than it did before. So it's definitely a great modification I think y'all should do. Super simple, something you can do in one day. You can easily go grab your parts from a junkyard, from O'Reilly's, wherever you want to get them. At the end of the day, just keep working on your rigs. Make sure you like and subscribe. There's definitely going to be a lot more cool content coming out. I hope y'all appreciated the video. At the end of the day, guys, keep working hard and living for Jesus.